Hi guys, this is Prasanna here. Sorry for having taken a small break from my film learning series. The corona still continues, so it's all the more reason why I should come back to this. This time, however, I thought that we'd slightly expand the topic and talk about something that I think will be of use to a lot more people, which is freelancing in general. So this series is called The Freelancer, and the first topic we're going to talk about for the next 10-15 minutes is what I call as coming out of the closet uh, to yourself and to your family. That first dawn of realization when you think that, oh God, I'm a freelancer, the society is judging me. So it is as a taboo a topic as sex and sexual orientation, especially in a conservative country like India. So to help me in this, I have a friend, Giridhar. Hi, Giri.
Hi, Prasanna.
Hi.
Thank
So
you.
I thought I'll make this thank you for coming. I thought I'll make this a little more interactive, Giri. So in this series, I thought I'll introduce to the world some of my friends and colleagues and people who work with me who are freelancers themselves, and then ask them to ask me questions from their point of view. And in that process, also introduce them to the world in a small way. I'm sure Giri has his own set of great clients, but this is my small way of encouraging the friends who are freelancers. So Giri, uh, he is a visual designer. He does strategic consultancy, lots of stuff. He's had a wonderful career in CRISIL, one of the topmost corporate enterprises, and today we have him. So,
Yeah.
over to you in 20 seconds. You're the freelancer and I'm the client. In 20 seconds, if I ask you, what is
Yeah.
it? What is it that Giri does as a freelancer that is going to make me take out my checkbook and give you a check which doesn't bounce?
Thank you, Prasanna. Thank you. Getting introduced by you is such a pleasure. And you're doing a great deed for all the people in the freelancing community. So quickly to introduce in 20 seconds, it's like an elevator pitch. So I'm a marketer and I've been a sales guy throughout my life. But I wanted to come out of the sales life and the tough sales profile. And I've been freelancing on content and visual design for corporates and startups for the last, I think, good 5 years. It's been 7 years since I quit my corporate job. So first 2 years, I didn't do anything. So the last 5 years, I've been consulting for, or rather freelancing for clients on content marketing and visual design. When I say visual design, primarily designing their pitch books and presentations, and that's what I specialize on.
Awesome. Here's my check for you.
Thank you.
So, guys, Giri does a lot of my work for my company Eklavya. He's also doubles up as my DA, operations manager, various stuff. Giri, when once you ask your question, you can mute yourself so that the sound doesn't go.
Sure.
Sorry.
I'll do that.
So
Yeah.
I thought, Giri, it'll be great for you to ask me 4 or 5 pointed questions so we keep this crisp. And so, what is it that, and again, here is a disclaimer, I am no expert on freelancing. I myself am a freelancer. All filmmakers are mostly freelancers. There's a very thin line between entrepreneurs and freelancers. Uh, so I'm using freelancing as an individual who doesn't work as an employee under a setup. That could be a startup, it could be a one guy, it could be 4-5 people together. And I thought someone like Giri, I would like to have a chat with, and as somebody who's been there probably in a unique field of filmmaking, I'll share my insights into it. So
Sure.
this is not advice, this is more insights and less, some anecdotes from my life. So you can laugh at my experience.
So, yeah.
So over to you, Giri.
So to begin with, all freelancers are also mini entrepreneurs. They manage their own self, and you're also in a sense a freelance filmmaker, and you're a good one as well. So the first thing is my first question, which I would ask is, when did you know, or when do you know that you're ready as a freelancer? When do you know that you have to come out and say, okay, I'm going to be a freelancer now and I'm going to be on my own? So that's going to be my first question.
Yeah, if you just mute yourself, then I can. So I'll keep this quick. For me, there's a the passion started very early, right from LKG. I was on stage, acting, directing, and all that. The passion started early, but the awareness that this can be a career came only towards my engineering days, when I realized that this is not what I want to do. I realized that suddenly after engineering, I'm staring at a career of being locked in the cubicle. If I'm very lucky, in the cubicle of a big MNC after doing my IIM or something like that. But I think the awareness came in my school DAV, which is one of the most top-rated academic schools, and I was a CBSE class topper. So very different from the typical filmmaking, stereotype. It was in DAV that I realized, when I was surrounded by academically inclined guys, that they were actually doing science and maths and computer science because they loved it and not for the marks. Okay, and it suddenly struck me that I was just studying for the marks. And it was one guy, I remember one of my the class topper came to me one day and said, "What the hell are you doing here in the school? You should be going out there and doing advertising or filmmaking or something. Why are you wasting your time here? Your heart is not in this. Do you see yourself sitting in a lab somewhere and spending your time with microbes and bacteria? I don't think so. Get out of here. What are you doing here?" So that was a awakening moment for me. And see, what happens is, for most people, especially in corporate, when you seem to have this midlife crisis. I'll tell you, when my wife was in my wife, your colleague, Meena. So both of them have now left and are pursuing their freelancing careers. I remember, Giri, one very funny incident when Meena used to, when I was, before Kalyana Samayal Sadha, when Meena was asked oftentimes, that, "What the hell is your husband doing?" She used to say, he's a filmmaker. And then they would ask, "Which films has he done?" And I have not done anything. So then she'd come to me and say, "Can I say that you're a short filmmaker?" I said, "No, don't call me a short filmmaker. I'm a little tall." So they were confused, and then they don't know what short film is. So we used to think, what do we say? What am I doing? So then I said one day, "Okay, no problem. Go tell that your husband is a freelancer." So next day she went and told some colleague that my husband is a freelancer. So that colleague said, "Oh, he's very free, is it?" So that's the understanding of freelancing that we have in India. And what usually I find is, people I interact with in my corporate workshops and stuff, that oftentimes when they say, "I want to quit and become a freelancer," it is not so much about the passion for a particular field, but a hatred for their current job. So my only insight I can give you is, be very clear that are you going for a divorce because you love this new girl, or are you going for a divorce because you hate your wife? So be very clear. If you are divorcing, if you're quitting a job because you hate that particular job or whatever, you can always find another job. You're still an employee, right? But if your passion for your job, for your new field, or your whatever is your interest, is very, very high, that is something only you will know. Nobody in the world can tell you whether that love is infatuation, whether you'll fall out of love in 6 months. So the best thing I suggest, Giri, is that you have a plan for a couple of months, like a sabbatical, a year. Just speak to your bosses and get a year off. Have a limited timeline and have a very realistic goal. For example, don't say, "I'll take a year off and I'll win the Oscar." No. Just say, "I'll take a year off and I will enroll in filmmaking programs. I will read these number of books. I will also make one short film of 10 minutes. That's it. Have a fixed timeline. Find out if your bank balance and family can support it. And have a very measurable goal, and give yourself a very, very clear appraisal. Like, if I do these 5 things, then I have successfully used my 1 year. If I don't do that, then I go back to my job. I think that is a far better way of assessing your freelancing readiness, right? So,
correct. Yeah, I mean that's very interesting, because I also relate to some of it, because I didn't consciously want to become a freelancer. I mean, I wanted to come out of corporate. That was my only goal. But what you said is right. You don't come out and become, so to say, a freelancer because you're frustrated with your job or something of that sort.
Well, I'll tell
But
you,
I'll come to
sorry for interrupting. I'll tell you what. Most people get the shock of their life that after coming out also they're doing the same things. They are doing hustling. They are doing accounts. That is if you do end up getting a client, you're doing
correct.
client servicing. Finally, you want your poster to be designed in blue color. The client will say, "Do it in yellow."
Exactly,
Whatever.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
eventually, you're frustrated in both places, right?
Correct.
Only
Correct.
thing there you have your boss to blame. Here you have yourself to blame.
Yeah.
So, like I
In
said,
fact, there you have your Saturday, Sundays. Here you don't have your Saturday, Sundays also sometimes,
and you have a
So
salary.
it's a very difficult balance. Yeah, and a fixed salary. But I'll come to that question later. See, the second most important question is, we as in an Indian setup, we as a family, money takes the precedent in terms of for example, our parents, they have this constant thought process in their mind that, okay, my son or my daughter, if they're going to finish their college, what are they going to do? They have to get into a college, they have to get into work. Are they going to be in the road? Are they, various insecurities our parents have. This question is, how did you convince your, I'll come to Meena's question later, but how did you convince your parents that you're going to be, a freelancer? Obviously, their first question is going to be, how are you going to make money, right? I would
think,
probably want you to throw some light.
Yeah, that's a very important question because most often you'll be shocked how many people write to my Instagram and Twitter about my movies, of course, but about how do you make a living. Even now, people don't know how I make a living. I used to joke that before my first film, I was not as poor as people thought I was. And after my first film, I was not as rich as people thought I was. So it happens. And again, like I keep saying, money, like sex, everyone is interested in it. Everyone has it on their mind, but everyone is scared to talk about it, in India especially. So I think money is very important. Obviously, it's a privilege to have money to begin with. I'll tell you two quick case scenarios, right? Sometimes you find that people from the, let's say in a field, in a field like filmmaking, actually people from the privileged class find it very easy to get into filmmaking in terms of the monetary position because they come from rich families. Strangely, people from let's say a not that privileged class also find it compatible. I will not say easy. It's a struggle, but they find it compatible because they come from a life of struggle, of drama, of uncertainty. So they find it compatible. Again, I'm not using the word easy. It is difficult, but they find the difficulties of their life matching with the difficulties of a freelancing life, where you don't know whether you're going to get a job, you're getting food, shelter, nothing, and they have this hunger in them to come out. So if you see most of the success stories, and that's the great thing about filmmaking and business, most of these business success stories have come from people who don't have privilege of wealth. They've all come from the grassroots because they have a hunger to grow, and for them, going without food, going without shelter is not a problem. That's a problem that has been with them all their life. So the people we have to learn from, even Steve Jobs started off in a garage, right? And the best filmmakers in Tamil Nadu, all of them came from the village. They risked their whole career in life. It is actually middle class people like you and I who get confused because we are used to a certain comfort of a certain level of comfort of a fixed salary. We have a house. We can use our father's bike or car. We get confused because we want to be treated like nobodies. So we get confused in our head. So it's very important, especially for middle class people, in that sense, to convince their family. So money is always in their mind. I think the best way to go about it is to have a frank discussion with your parents or your stakeholders, which can be your wife, whoever. But before you have your discussion, you please find out a reality check about what are the realities of the industry that you're going into. For example, if you're going to tell your family that in 2 years I'm going to be a filmmaker, they're going to ask how. So don't go by you will always tend to look at the positive success story. They will always look at the average failure. You will say, I'll become a Sachin Tendulkar. They will say, but what about the 1 million people who wanted to be Sachin and who were just playing gully cricket at the age of 50? So now you need to acknowledge both. So I tell you what I did. What I did was I told my father-in-law, my parents right upfront that you know I will be making corporate videos. I will be making ads. That will give me a little amount of money, and I told them how much amount of money that will be, right? And I hope to make these projects for, let's say, 5 or 6 years, so that at least I have a sustainable income. And of course, luckily, my wife Meena was also working, and of course, her salary was, she was also starting out, so it was very, very small. And then we cut our cloth to the the budget, and we lived in a very, very cozy small house. We had a bike. Pretty much every furniture given to us was from our parents or friends. My friends gifted a sofa set, and I remember taking Meena to the Taj Hotel for our anniversary after having curd rice at home.
Seriously?
Yeah, because of course we can't afford anything in the Taj, right? So we used to have curd rice and then go to Taj and only have dessert or soup or whatever. And I used to be this cheapo who used to have that one by two soup and then ask for that extra, what do you call it, bun and all that, because I was damn hungry. So we've done all this, and it was great because what was there is there was a very clear communication from my side and a lot of acceptance from the family side. Uh, but I think apart from those X factor of acceptance and trust, which you have no control over, okay. But I think it should be on a bedrock of understanding of the clear economic realities of what you're going into. It is going to take 5 to 10 years before you start seeing money. 5 to 10 years, not 5 months, not 6 months, not 1 year. Any field is going to take 5 to 10 years. What is your business plan for it? Look at your family as your venture capital investors. Look at your family as people who are investing. After all, they are your venture capitalists. You are the biggest venture of their life. So they have a right to know. And this is from our side. From the family side, all I can say is that, if you, at least whatever the financial constraint, talk it out. At least give give the person that you're talking to at least a little bit of time for them to try it and let them fail also, right? But if you don't try, then nothing happens. So even if it is going to be 1 year, okay, we'll support you, don't worry. Just for 1 year you try, we can't, our family budget cannot take it more than that, whatever. So I think you should have a lot of conversations and have them very early on. Have them 5 years before you actually going to do the lead. Don't have it overnight. They're going to have it overnight. They're going to look at you as some sort of a amateur who's got excited. And finally, Giri, any field that you're going into, you should have at least some amount of track record in that field. For example, if you're a filmmaker, it's very difficult at the age of 35 to justify jumping into filmmaking. And I have not seen any film of yours. You have not written one script. There's not even one shot. It's very difficult. I'm not saying you can't do it. So you should understand from all points of view. And have you built the case in your life? Have you been building your case your whole life that this guy has got it in him to be an architect? I know fashion designers who don't do any wanting to be fashion designers. They just don't design. I've never seen any clothes they've designed. I have seen filmmakers who don't shoot films. I've also seen like a fashion designer friend of mine, Vino, for example. Every time she kept designing, it's always out there on she keeps doing something. Whether she's making money or not, she was putting out her work for everyone to see, So I think such examples, proof of concept, as you call it, is very important.
Yeah, you play by your strength. That's very important. I think every freelancer I think to an extent they know their strength. But I have a strong feeling most of them are risk averse. I'll tell you a short anecdote from my life as well. When I started off, in fact, I didn't start off as a freelancer, like I said. I was sitting at home 1.5 years doing nothing. So the first question my father asked was, I'll tell it in Tamil and then I'll translate. Enada nee மாமியார் வீட்டு சம்பாதியத்துல சாப்பிட்டுட்டு. So basically he taunted me saying that, what you're sitting and eating out of your mother-in-law's business. This comes from a typical, because he's been in a corporate job all his life and he tried business, he failed, and he brought in that insecurity into me, saying that, go to a corporate job. What are you sitting here? You can earn a lot of money. But I was risk averse, and at some point you have to break that and break that risk averseness. Okay, that becomes a very key thing. That's a very important thing which you said. I equate filmmaking and also business to a
Yeah.
certain extent, because you're hustling as a filmmaker. You've reached here, and with all your hustle, right? So it is important to keep the risk averseness a little away as a freelancer.
But I
Now
think it's a valid
interest,
point. Really. It's a valid point, but the way I look at it is, Giri, the risk, the, what the previous generation considered a risk comes from a very real, very real, genuine concern that my son or daughter or should not be, of course they will express it in their patriarchal ways. What we see as patriarchal, they don't see as patriarchal, because that's the generation that our fathers grew up in. So I think I always say, where there is love, there is a way. Okay. So you speak to them for a long time. Certain people will come on very immediately. Certain people will take time. Certain of your family members may never come onto your side. It's okay. Because what matters is that if you understand that your success, or you are part of an ecosystem, right? As a family member, if you are a single guy who doesn't have a family, it's different. But you're part of an ecosystem, and it's, if you look at them as your investors, you look at them as your team players, even if they don't have the maturity or understanding or privilege to have looked at themselves that way, you will be looking at it your way, because finally what matters is what is in your brain and heart.
Correct.
You will think, okay, whatever it is, even if I start a startup, if I go to a VC, there'll be some VC who doesn't get me. Some guy will be the bad cop. Okay, fine. But you have to deal with them. You can't wish them away, right? So,
Right.
And each one deals with it in very, very different ways. But I think all of it comes from basic 2-3 things. One is your own clarity, your own transparency in telling your family facts, and not giving them the rosy picture, right? Tell them the facts, make them, buy them in, that this is what is these are all the negatives, these are all the things that's going to happen, but I have taken stock of it, and this is what I'm going to do to satisfy the money part, the family part, right? And then go ahead and do whatever you want to, and then stick to that promise, stick to that commitment. See, it's very difficult, Giri. Like, I know of a lot of examples where let's say some guy quits a job and then spends a lot of money into new businesses, and the businesses keep on failing. Now, obviously, beyond a point, nobody is going to give him a long rope, be it family or the bank, unless you're a Vijay Mallya and Nirav Modi.
Yeah.
So that is the reality. So we have to face it, and it's a battle. There is no one size fits all. That's what is the beauty of freelancing. Anyway, next question. I think we have covered that.
Yeah. So the most important, the next question is, of course, you spoke about Meena on this, but having a spouse in confidence is very important, right? I mean, I had a spouse in confidence. This goes for any husband or wife who's looking to freelance. I am sure. I think 10 years back, you spoke about doing corporate video and all those things. What was Meena's mindset in terms of, okay, she would have insecurities that am I going to be working forever? Is this man going to be earning money or not? How did you deal with your spouse's insecurities?
See,
because
think,
that's an
Manavi Amaivadellam Iravan Varan Mari. In Tamil, they say that getting a good spouse is God's handiwork. I think for me and for you also, like it really helped that ours was a love marriage. So obviously, it's not a surprise, right? I don't think I would have ever got any pair in arranged marriage world. Imagine my Bharat matrimony profile. Film school pass out, wants to be filmmaker, reject. I think automatically the website will reject me. So that's why in Kalyana Samal Sadham I had put that I came as a cameo where I tell that I'm a filmmaker and then I get rejected. So I think for me, it was just a charity from Meena that she married me. I have no two doubts about it. I don't think anybody in their sensible mind would marry a filmmaker unless they're deeply in love. So that's why I don't doubt her love at all, because unless she was madly in love with me, she wouldn't have. This is such a raw deal, right? You get married to a guy who says, I am the next Spielberg, I'll win the Oscar, some crap he's talking. And where will you get your money? He's saying, I'll do this, I'll do that. Okay, fine, after a point. But I think what, apart from that specific case of ours, what matters is that you should have a lot of conversations. These insecurities are not bad words. These insecurities, in fact, bond you as a couple.
Right, very true.
See, insecurities which are not addressed become toxic. But insecurities which are talked about become conversations and become bonding pathways, right? So when we were dating itself, we started talking about it because I was wanting to become a filmmaker long time ago. I started telling her that this is what is my. She also knew it, and it was a very valid. And trust me, I used to make this joke, but it's true. She had an Assam apply, typical Tamil film. She had an Assam apply who she could have gone to check out or whatever, and they kept pestering her family that because they didn't know that we were in love and all that. So typical, they don't say that you're in love here. So to the credit of my in-laws, they said no, my daughter has some other plans, and so I keep telling her that you had a choice of an Assam Maple, and then you had a choice of an Asama for a Maple, and you chose the right. So credit to her parents also. Like my parents, okay, I am their product. Obviously, they love me. They've seen me. But for father-in-law, mother-in-law to give a daughter to a guy who has probably zilch earning profile is very difficult. I think they chose love. In their mind, and I'm sure in Meena's mind also, she was very clear. Even if I have to stay in a hut, I want to stay with this guy. For some weird reason, I don't know why. I think that's what is destined for her, poor thing. She said, now I want to be with you. That's it. I don't care what happens. I'm very clear. So we had these conversations. So I think having conversations makes you a team. Hiding things makes it very toxic. See, because if I had led her on, if I had given her this thing, then she's marrying me for those reasons. And trust me, even today, a filmmaker's life is a risk. I can completely get washed out and come to the middle of the road. It is a reality to any businessman, not only to a filmmaker. Any businessman, any employee also, you can get sacked. So relationships, you have to talk it out. And of course, there are certain people for whom it may not be a deal at all. For some, it may be a big deal, and it is a choice of the girl or the spouse to have decided that. Now, this is when you're lucky enough to have these passions coming before marriage. Now, after marriage, it becomes difficult. But I think you should have those open conversations even more.
Yeah, I ask these questions because every now and then everybody thinks freelancing is more of an individualistic decision, but it's not. It's there is an ecosystem which is either dependent on you directly, indirectly, and you need to make a calculated decision because there are so many which runs in your mind.
Now, even I'll tell you this example. Like the first thing we did was to cut down our costs. So we did like a proper business plan. Okay, this is the salary that Meena gets. That's a fixed element. And then if I do maybe 3-4 corporate videos a year, which I was capable of doing, then this is the amount of money I'll get. So this is the budget that's going to be with us for the next 5 to 6 years, right? If things go well. So now cut your cloth according to that. I mean, so we stayed in a house in a rented property, which for example, we got a lovely house, but it was on the 3rd floor without any lift. So the rent was less. My mamanar gave the bike to his daughter so she could go to work. And most often she would leave it back for me and go by share auto. So all these things are very, very important. So what happens is that bonding happens because when you're in a freelancing career, there were so many days when I used to wake up with cold sweat in the middle of the night at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. The cold sweat thinking, what the hell am I doing? I have not, forget me, I have this girl lying down next to me. This poor thing is believing me that I will become a filmmaker and nothing is happening. It's been 4 years, nothing has happened. I used to feel terrible. So it happens all the time. Even now I wake up with cold sweats thinking that I have now 2 kids. And here I am saying until I find a good script, I won't direct. Like, who the hell are you? do whatever, get the money into the house, man. So it's a very difficult. The only thing is, I feel that we people just talk. We like talking inane, stupid stuff openly. These important things we don't talk. We hide these things. இதுதான் பேசணும். This is what you have to talk with your spouse, with your family, and talk it casually. You don't have to keep we're going to have a serious conversation. Talk it openly. These are things. Suddenly, for all you know, the next day I'll talk about this to my wife and she'll say, what the hell? Yeah, it's okay. So what? Who knows? After pandemic, next year we may all die. What are you thinking? So suddenly my day becomes brighter, you know. And now she's quit her job and she's she's trying to become a freelance writer. She's writing a novel, screenplay, and I'm very happy to have now play the opposite end to her, where I keep encouraging her, saying that don't think about anything. Next 10 years, do whatever you want. Let not even one book of yours get published, but it's okay, you know, because that confidence.
This came for Meena after 10 years, 10, 11 years of, yeah, right? I mean,
because it took her stupid husband 11 years to become a Bollywood filmmaker. So in that sense, she sacrificed 11 years of her passion. She's a creative person herself, you know it.
Yeah.
But honestly, she was working in the corporate only for me. I mean, though she doesn't say it that way. But the reason was that, and these are the conversations that we never have, Giri. It's like taboo. Like, we only use money for gossip. In the car, and we don't use it for constructive things, right? And stuff like this is very important, because every entrepreneur, and so what if you're a failure? At least you've lived life. At least you've done something together as a at the very least of it, as a husband and wife, you would have bonded. Because trust me, those 4 years when we were 4 or 5 years before Kalyana Samalsadam happened, we got married and took about 3-4 years for the movie to happen. Were the best years of our lives. Like, we were, like I said, going to Taj after eating curd rice, aprom going this thing, aprom buying buying Alto car after so many years, and that Alto was like till today for me, that Alto is no BMW can give me the joy of that Alto. You know?
I remember your Nano also. You remember that?
The Nano, that was my father's Nano, which he lent it to me, and the Nano was so important for us. Like, first time. Because somewhere my father saw me going in a bike or something, and then it was raining, and I just mentioned to him that, I was going for a meeting and it started raining and I got wet. He was so upset. He said, why are you doing this? Take this. I said, no, I want to stand on my own legs. And the typical, you stand in your own legs, but don't get wet. You're going to a meeting, right? So I think somewhere, if each person thinks of the other, then it becomes very beautiful.
Yeah.
So that family support, and so before this starts becoming like a Vikraman movie, the family support, the first topic which I took, today, which coming out of the closet, like how sexuality and how the LGBT community finds it so tough to come out of the closet, even entrepreneurship and freelancing is being treated as a taboo. When, if you see both of it's like sexual orientation, right? Like, it's something that you are, it defines you, and why should you? In both cases, you are trolled, you are misunderstood, or you're like criticized, and you're ridiculed for what? So that's why I named this as coming out of the closet, not only in a very flippant way, but in a very deep manner.
Correct.
So last few FAQ types.
You see, I want you to touch upon ego as well. I think we've spoken about a little bit of coming out of the closet point, but for every freelancer, when they come out, every freelancer thinks that, he's got some innate talent in him, that, he wants to come out and become a freelancer. But how do they handle that ego of, a freelancer coming out and thinking, okay, I'm going to be welcomed with open arms. Whatever I'm going to touch is going to be gold. How do they handle that? That's a very important aspect.
That's a great
freelancer.
That's a great question. See, I think that is something that I feel it's like a test of fire. Unless you get beaten up left, right, and center, that is the only answer. You cannot, what applies to me need not apply to you. I think what matters is, here's the thing, right, Giri? Again, I use the example of romance and love because that's something we all innately understand, right? Tell me something. If you're passionately in love with a girl, your focus is only the girl, right? You're driven by love for that girl. How many ever people block you? How many ever people say that even if your friend says, "I Giri, you'll never get the girl," will you believe them?
No, I
You
wouldn't.
may the girl, there you 6 pack, 7 pack. That guy has this pack. This you have family pack. I have this pack. அதெல்லாம் ஒண்ணும் இல்ல அந்த பொண்ணு எனக்கு தான் அவ்வளவுதான். From where does that confidence come? That confidence comes from your obsession and passion for that girl. I'm not talking about stalking. I'm talking about the correct way of doing things, right? Until that girl says no, at least you will have the confidence, right? And the பயமும் இருக்கும், confidence இருக்கும். But that is something that you cannot help it away, right? It will be there. Your ego will take a beating because all the people around you will know that you have a certain goal. And now by quitting, you have announced the goal. So now everybody will have an opinion about it. You're saying that I'm going to become the Prime Minister of India by standing for election, right? Everybody will only tell you, what will they tell you? Hey, how can you become this? That is what they're going to tell you, including your clients who may have worked with you within your corporate in equal terms. They would have given you a certain respect because you signed the check for the client. Now they are signing a check for you. They will treat you as a baby, as a first timer. And I think there is a certain beauty about that because that is the way, that is the path of the hero. There is no path of the hero without obstacle, without ridiculing, without that. You have to, a baby has to fall, a baby has to keep falling and trying and crying until it one day jumps up, you know. And for me, one thing that has helped me through this phase of this ego handling is again the love for that angel called filmmaking, which I'm obsessed with. The question I cleared in my head was, what if I'm a bad director? What if I don't know this job? Would I leave filmmaking? I said, no, I'll be an AD. What if I'm a bad AD? It's okay. I'll be a production assistant. What if I'm a bad product? I'll serve tea. I will clean the set, but I cannot imagine a life without being on the film set. For me, that clarity was there. Luckily, clarity was there for me. And my obsession with cinema was there so much that I'll do anything inside the film industry. Not only direction or whatever. I cannot imagine doing anything else. So I think that amount of obsession is something that if you have, that will help. If not, you'll have to consider whether you know, whether this is an affair you're having or a long-term relationship you want to have with the freelancing.
Yeah, I asked that question because, you know, when I came out of corporate, I always thought, you know, I was a star performer. Before I quit 3 years on the row, I was a rock star performer, and I had great appraisals, great bonus, and great hikes, which was away from the median. And when I came out and when I decided I'm going to go out and to provide these services of mine, this talent of mine to the external world, I thought, okay, I'm going to be embraced with you know, open arms, and people are going to just, you know, throw out money at me. But it was a rude shock. I mean, my third or fourth gig, one guy called me for a marketing consulting gig, and then he asked me, okay, sell this mobile phone to a 14th century farmer. I was like, dude, I've proved myself for the last 12, 13 years. I mean, why should I, you know, do like a pitch like a 21-year-old would do? And these were rude shocks. I did not get that gig because I was arrogant at that point in time. But then I came back with retrospect, and then probably that's not how the world perceives you as well. You know, they look at you as another talent, and they're putting money on you, and you know, they need to sort of make sure they're putting the money in the right place. Correct. So I asked that primarily because ego plays a very important part for.
Even when I went from Tamil to Bombay, I was very clear that yes, they'll have a certain respect for me because they really loved Kalyana Samil Sadham, but I'm a newbie there, you know. And even now, if I want to do something very different from what I'm already doing, I will always be a newcomer. But then I feel, which is why I also named my company as Eklavya, I realized early on that you can either hold on to your ego or you can learn and grow. It's a very, very clear choice. And this ego keeps coming. Not only in the first job, you would have had an ego later. This ego will keep coming. You have to keep conquering that ego. Where you have to draw the line is when it becomes self-respect, right? When it hits your self-respect beyond, then of course and each one defines it in different ways. But I think that better to look at it as a long learning experience. So that's why I name my company is Eklavya Productions. I want to be a student all my life. Student doesn't have ego, no?
Correct.
So that's why I keep telling outside also that when I give interviews also, though they don't publish that phrase which I use. I say as a student of cinema. And then but not many people actually put that as a student. They put it as filmmaker Prasanna has said. But I call myself student of cinema. Because when I say I'm student of cinema, then they don't expect me to be an expert. I can make mistakes.
Correct.
I can learn a lot. And finally, like I said, it's comes down to this, Giri. Like, if I love a girl, I want to be with a girl. It's not important to me what the world is looking at me as. If I love a girl, I should forget the world, including my ego and everything, right? So in that sense, it's spiritual, romance and spiritual in the same thing. But every Guna is obsessed with Abhirami. He doesn't care two hoots if somebody takes a photo of their wedding. Where is the ego? Let people keeps calling. People keep in Guna. People keep calling him insane. People say that he has no brains. But finally, he got Abhirami, right?
Correct.
So it is that fantasy that should drive you. And I think that the ego is very, very much important, because without ego, you can't come out. You can't create. So it's a very, ego is not a bad word, but you need to keep it in check. Again, have these conversations with yourself. Keep having this conversation. Okay, today I felt this. Sleep over it. Next day you may feel a little better, right? Then you decide whether you want to let your ego come in the way of this job. Maybe you need the money. Maybe you need the learning experience. Maybe you need the credit. Conquer that ego once, then it will become a habit. Because many times you feel like you want to walk out of projects, and then you realize that walking out is actually very easy. Staying in the bouncy track and fielding those Yorkers and those bouncers, very difficult.
Very difficult. Proving is very difficult. And once you prove, I think everyone on the freelancing community would agree. Once you prove, this client is going to keep, this person is going to keep coming back to you again and again. And you said one important thing, which is about student of cinema. And learning is very important in the freelancing world also. I mean, every now and then we feel we have arrived, okay, and we stop there and we start giving the same thing again and again. But you have to evolve as well, because things, technologies, anything you take is evolving around you, right? So that's a beautiful thing which you said. Now the other question is on money, but that will that's
that in the next topic, because this time I want to do a topic. So closing in, guys. It's obviously been way longer than 15 minutes. They keep telling me that you make the videos as crisp as possible, but I think we had a fun time. I hope our viewers also find it fun. But what I wanted to say was that each topic, like for example, I want to talk about handling delicate issues like money talk with a client. Each of them I want to do in a different managing time as a freelancer. Like, how do you have discipline as a freelancer when you don't have a boss? So typical stuff which a freelancer probably goes through. Let me throw my insight into it. The rest of the information about freelancer, it's all available on the Google, right? Today, knowledge is available everywhere. It's only experiential stories that probably is not. And this series is an effort to get freelancers like Giri to come talk to me. I talk to them. We get to explore a little bit, because we are in the same boat, or in the same blood, as what you would say.
I mean, thanks a lot for doing this. I every freelancer would sort of thank you for such a topic, because not many speak about freelancers, and not many freelancers speak about themselves as well. So this is a good
No,
opportunity.
I think whoever benefits out of this, great. And in the end, I just want to end with this is something that I always try to plug, like an evangelist who plugs the Bible as much as possible. So this is the equivalent of my Bible, which is uh, the Fountainhead by Ayn Rand. This is very important. I know, Giri, when you see the thickness of this book, you will get a little scared.
Yeah, I know.
But maybe it's on Audible. You can read it. So this book truly helped me to sustain my strength through all the struggling years and even now, because it's a story about an architect. And architects are like filmmakers, like any freelancer. So it's about an architect with a deep vision about how he wants to completely change architecture, and how every single obstacle, they don't give him a break, or they give him a break and ask him to change his designs here and there because their cousin or their 10-year-old kid wants a pink color or something. So you relate to every single thing, because client experiences, and how he sustains through all that and what happens in the end. Of course, it's a deeply philosophical book, and not many people agree with the philosophy. I do, and my wife doesn't. So it's a great book. It has sustained me through many years. And the favorite quote from this book, which applies to this, is very, very beautiful and very inspiring. Howard Rock is the name of the architect, and when he's rejecting clients, he rejects clients when he doesn't have money because the projects are not exciting. So somebody asks him that, don't you want to make money? What's wrong with you? You're poor. Do something. So he says a very, very heroic line. And I always imagine this in Rajinikanth's voice or something, right? So he says, I don't build in order to have clients. I have clients in order to build.
Wow, super.
Walt Disney said a similar thing. So he says, I don't make movies to make money. I make money to make movies. So
Wow.
these kind of punchlines, you have to read when the client puts you down, completely smashes your ego. How do you bounce back? Come back to the Fountainhead, read these lines and pump yourself and yeah! Punchline, because you got to wake up and go right there and face the battle, right? You have to be on the crease. You can't give up.
Yeah, correct. Just conquer that fear, insecurity, everything, and you take inspirations from everywhere.
Yeah,
Amazing.
and thanks, Giri. Thank you so much for coming over. Next topic, we'll talk about money handling, money talk, and Giri will be there for that also.
Yeah, strategy is something. How do you strategize? How do you strategize? How do you handle? And more importantly, like what you just mentioned, how do you say no, to a client? That's a very important thing for freelancers.
Yeah, you can say no to a client when certain ethical issues are there, so many issues. So we'll talk about all these, everything that you wanted to know about the F word, freelancing.
Yeah, freelance. That's lovely. Yeah, super.
Anyway,
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Giri. And hey, if you want a great designer, especially kind of make your snazzy PPTs, lots of stuff Giri does, you need to check him out.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Yeah, please do feel free to contact me. We'll find out a way to sort of put the number. But feel free to contact me on any design and content related. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. See you. Thank you, Giri.
Take care. Thanks, Prasanna.
Bye.
Bye.